There's a lot of propaganda going on around a Catholic cathedral in Lahaina being spared. And the story that people are putting on it is that God spared this cathedral because what? Because it's his cathedral? Because God dwells in temples made by human hands? Because he didn't say in the word that true worshipers worship him in the truth and in the spirit, that you're not going to be worshiping in the temple or Jerusalem, but in the temple he gave you and assembling with believers. What is a church building to God? You tell me, what church were early Christians worshiping in? They didn't have a church. He didn't have a place to lay his head, and neither did his church. So did God spare that building? Well, the truth is, yes, he did. God is the only one who can decide what he's going to destroy and what he's going to spare. But you need to discern by God's Spirit why he did that. We know from Scripture, between Daniel 7 and Revelation 17, we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that papal Rome is the Antichrist. We know that Catholicism is the harlot that is riding that beast of Rome. We know that Catholicism and counterfeit Christianity constitute Babylon the Great, and the prostitutes that bore out of her. We know that. It's clear to us in Scripture. So there's no way that God spared a cathedral because that represents him. There's no way that that's the reason he spared it. You have to remember that God's words are going to be fulfilled. You have to remember that people are going to be handed over to delusion when they have not loved truth. And so if God needs to provide certain things to feed that, to set that up, then that's what he's going to do. We can't be making up stories of ourselves. But I want to present something else to you. Did God not destroy Lisbon, Portugal in 1755 on the counterfeit holy day of All Saints while the Catholic Church was burning Christians at the stake? Did God not destroy and make a mockery of the celebrations at Pompeii, the 3-day celebrations to their heathen gods, and destroy them with the very God that they were celebrating in Mount Vesuvius? Did he not destroy in 1835 in Chile the Concepcion Cathedral? Why would we just deny the rest of history and the rest of what's written in Scripture and create some story around why God spared that cathedral? No, people are being handed over to deception. So you don't need to get caught up in that. If anything, look at what he's doing and recognize the symbolism that God can pass over anyone he wants. But then go to him and ask why. Just like when he destroys something or he sends grief on you in your life, go to him and ask why. People are being handed over to delusion. The Catholic Church, as far as the world is concerned, has had great success, right? Worldly success. And yet it's going to go to its ruin in seconds. And people are going to look at it, and what are they going to be concerned about? They're going to say, oh, you were so rich in the gold and the blah, blah, blah. And all of it is going to come to ruin. All of it. But it has to rise. So you have to understand that God needs to fulfill his will. Do not be deceived. That is what he's doing. That church being spared has nothing to do with them and everything to do with the word that God is fulfilling, with the plans that God is fulfilling. And those who believe in these things and make up their own stories will be handed over to delusion. Don't be deceived.